Well, hello and welcome to Mystic Muse. I'm going, as you all know, those of you who listen to me regularly, you probably know I'm a musician. If you have gone through what I've put up online, you will see I've posted two songs, about three years back, and some stuff with Uncle Butchie. So music is near and dear to my heart. But there's a kind of a geeky side to it, and in a way. But in many ways, it's kind of like the mental side of art. And so I'm primarily a bass player. That's my instrument. But I also love guitar. I started on guitar. It was 4 years later I found the bass and have been playing the bass the rest of my life, but never gave up guitar. So when I got back into being musical, and was working regularly, I was able to buy myself, some stuff and find my way through tone. And it was quite. I mean, my first amp was a little Behringer amp. Next one, I think, was a Bugera, and both, they're both 8-inch speaker amps, small speakers, like the size of this little one behind me, right there. And no, the next one, no, right, no, the next, first it was the Behringer, and then it was a Mustang one, an 8-inch speaker amp. Cost me $109, and it's a modeling amp, so you could get a Marshall sound, a Vox sound. It was all transistor. But again, I'm just coming back in, and I wasn't so geeky when I was a really active musician. Part of it was because I was kind of drunk. But that's many years ago, and many sober years ago. So anyway, this is about Weber. This is about my love of a company that, to me, really brings art and craft to something that is essential to any non-acoustic musician, and that's their speakers. Now, again, this is for musicians and people who use amplification, and specifically guitar players. Even though I'm a bass player, I'm going to be speaking as a guitar player. When I probably will pick up my guitar, but I won't be shredding. I'll be playing guitar. And so as I started progressing and going through different things, when I got my Bugera amp, this is when I started thinking, it's got this Bugera speaker in there, and that's not one of the names. The names right now, kind of, that many people know of, would be Eminence and Warehouse guitar speakers. In America, those kind of like the two, that come to my mind. And people have heard of Weber, but a lot of people haven't. And in many ways, the speaker market is really about English-sounding speakers and American-sounding speakers. American-sounding speakers are kind of based off the Jensen speakers, and there's other ones, I guess, like Utah and stuff. But Jensen was the big maker, and it made made the speakers that Fender used. And then in England, in Voxes and Marshalls, I guess they were using Celestion speakers. And there are different tone colors to English amps and English speakers. So the Celestion speakers, especially their Bluebell, their kind of top of the line Alnico, has a very chimey bell-like quality to it. It's kind of like the holy grail of speakers, the Celestion Blue. Well, I happen to have the equivalent of that speaker in the one behind me, where you see that W. That indicates there's a Weber speaker in that cabinet. The cabinet was made by Mojo Tone because I wanted the C green. The Seafoam green is only available from two cabinet makers, and unfortunately, Weber does not have that Tolex. Although I do have a Weber cabinet that I'll show. Anyway, In that one there, but the one below where you see the owl, and then there's a few other things, and then you see that Weber indicator back there, that has an Alnico Blue Dog hemp cone speaker, and I'll give a little taste of that before I end here. But that in the paper version would be the equivalent of that's Weber's answer to the Celestion Blue Dog, and I think it's a much finer speaker. There's a certain fragility in the Celestion that I think some people like, but I mean, unless you're playing the most, I really think it doesn't have anything even on that almost glass-like fragility on a Blue Dog. So anyway, I want to talk about Weber the company, but part of the reason I am a hemp enthusiast. Please, I'm talking about industrial hemp. I'm talking about stuff that if you smoked it, you'd get a headache. All right, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm not going to get into any of the myriad uses at a industrial level for hemp. I'm going to talk about the fact that hemp can make paper, so therefore it can make cones for speakers. And there's one company that only makes hemp cone speakers, and they're known as Tone Tubby. And I've listened to some Tone Tubby speakers, and I'm not sure, as a speaker, I'm not sure what they're going for. I mean, I really think it's great that there's a company that is using hemp, and because even from an ecological perspective, hemp is this thing that can grow at two, and in certain rare cases, three yields a year. It'll just keep on growing and growing, and it's a nice meadow, but it is nothing truly magnificent like a tree. So to me, to get something that very often, especially in common use paper, that is just kind of like part of this endless cycle, to me, it's not even, you don't even have to be a tree hugger to appreciate the majesty of forests and knowing what we can get from hemp. So I'm a big hemp enthusiast, really turns me on. So I'm a big hemp enthusiast. And so when I first heard about it in speakers, I was intrigued. So the very first hemp speaker I got was an Eminence 8-inch speaker, and it was only available in a 4-watt. And that's actually that's the crime. In my Weber cabinet, I have 2 Eminence speakers because I got a Maggie cabinet. Now I'll break into that because I really want to presence Weber as one of the premier kind of music companies. I mean, for people who are who are really into tone and a certain geekiness in their sound, you at least should know of Weber. They are handmade speakers. Although my first exposure to Weber was one of their signature speakers, which they make and then kind of put on the market, one of the few that are not pre-ordered. Not only does Weber hand make each speaker, but as I take you into their website in a little bit, there in certain cases there's multiple choices you can have. Like with my Blue Dog, I had options. I think I'll go check it. It started at 15 watts. I think it went 25, 50, 75, and 100. And I got the 100-watt one. And the most powerful amp I have is a Hot Rod Deluxe, which is actually what that Weber lived in my Hot Rod Deluxe when I had it out and was playing it. It came with a Cannabis Rex. Now a Cannabis Rex is another hemp cone speaker, like my Weber Blue Dog I ordered the hemp cone, and but it's an American voice, so it's it's got different. It doesn't have that kind of high end chime. And it's also a ceramic speaker, and that's another thing I want to make, since this is about speakers and the beauty of Weber, that they understand there are real tonal differences between the 2 primary magnets that get used in speakers these days. There has been a new magnet called neodymium, which is a rare earth magnet, but we're not going to get into that one. The primary magnets are an iron, ferrous, and then something called alnico, because it's the alnico, instead of having primarily just iron in it, has aluminum, nickel, and cobalt. And so the reason why this is mystic musing, or the mystic muse, not to be confused with moose, is because there's a certain magic that happens in an alnico speaker, and we're looking at, because even in the language, alnico changes when you really lean into an alnico magnet. It does something called compression, and it kind of gets fatter. So there's two different alnico speaks or sings two different ways. When it's doing one thing, it does what to me is the alnico magic. Ferrous magnets are very good at taking the signal that they're given and reproducing it faithfully. Alnico plays with your signal a little bit. There seems to be something, at least from, again, now, I come from a science background also. But when the signal is traveling basically through one element, it has one influence on it. When the signal has the influence of three elements, somehow something playful happens in that signal. And so especially when you're listening to the delicate notes, and there's the real soft passages, or into medium where you're not really driving anything, alnico sings with you. Maybe it contributes little harmonics that a ferrous speaker doesn't have. There are a lot of alnico enthusiasts, and I'm one of them. And it's because there is something extra. Now, they're probably not going to call it, magical, because, a lot of I'm going to be, I go out there a little bit, mod whiz. But there really is. There's alnico contributes something. So there's two, and the fact, so every speaker, basically, that I've ever seen that Weber makes comes in an alnico and a ferrous version, or the typical magnets. Unlike a lot of other speaker companies, they have alnico speakers, and then they have their ferrous speakers, but it's not like they will offer the same speaker in two versions, and Weber does that. And if you happen to like the, very faithful reproduction of a ferrous magnet, ferrous magnets cost less in a speaker. Now, in the more high-powered alnico speakers, where they're using 40 ounces of alnico, the price difference is considerable. When you get into like the 1 inch voice coils and the 1/4 inch voice coils, and they are using less powerful magnets, like they have an 8-inch plug alnico and an 11 ounce plug alnico, and then the next step up is the 40 ounce. And so that increases the capacity. So this is one of the things why I'm a little bit excited, because Weber just did a new release, and so now that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little look at what Weber is, and get away. And so we're going to transition my face, and I want you to look at. To me, this is a very warm looking introduction here. And Ted Weber is the person who got this all started. He left in 2009. And they are celebrating 20 years of handmade speakers in loving memory of Ted A. Weber, 1951 to 2009. All right. And from what I can tell, at least from the person who has responded to me, one of the... and also when I ordered my speaker and also interfaced with me what I wanted, he also agreed with how I configured my Blue Dog. And his name is CJ Sutton. So CJ, I hope, I'm going to send you a link to this video, and I'm going to hope you like it. Anyway, so this is Weber speakers. And so here's the speakers, and they have their signature speakers, and they have a unique 6-inch model. They have the 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch models, and these kind of let's take a look, because I bought the 8-inch model. This was my gateway to Weber speakers. Okay, and I got the 8-inch Alnico S because, again, these people are such craftsmen or craftspeople that this one has a later breakup, and this is the one I got. Here, well, I'll just click on it. Okay, so as I told you, see, it's got it's a 7-ounce Alnico plug magnet. It's got a 1-inch voice coil, and now it's the rib cones. See, this one, that right here, this says later, brighter, smoother, later breakup. And part of that is because it does use this cone, the ribs on the cones, where if we go back and look at the other signature, which is the regular signature 8, this one here, you'll see that the cone has no ribs. And as it says here, warm, crunchy, early breakup. Now here's what I was speaking about. Compressed, fattened at high volume. And that's unique to the Alnico. Because if we if we go back here, so because here's the Alnico signature 8 and here's the ceramic signature 8. And as you can see, even here there's a difference in the pricing. So here's this ceramic signature 8, and it'll read much the same about the warm, crunchy, early breakup. But this has a 10-ounce ceramic magnet. And they tell you will fit in it, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't say compress and fattens at higher volumes, because this is a ferrous magnet and they don't do that. And that's really how you can there's a real difference in how they look when they're laying like that. These are flat and these kind of have that. So this was my gateway, and that one is in that one there behind. Oh, sorry, that's right. Camera's not on. It's in the one that's immediately behind me, and we'll give you a little tickle from that, because I have my amp on. All right, so we're going to go back to here. So these are the speakers. Now the signature are they're already kind of pre-configured. Oh, I think that you'd think you might have a power choice, but I think they're 15 watts each. But this vintage is the American series. Oh, that's right. Oh, this is the unique one, the 6x9 on their vintage. Okay. There's a British series. So basically this would be like Jensen sounding speakers or All Americans. This would be more of the Celestian sounding speakers, or the English sounding. Then they have a high power, they have a bass, there's a Legacy series, and they have a few other, they can get quite eclectic. But for the average person who is used to kind of like, to me, like Celestian and W Warehouse guitar speakers and Eminence, basically in Eminence, this would be the Patriot series, and this would be their Redcoat series. So so those kind of the two basic things in the speaker market are American voice speakers and British voice speakers. And I got myself a 10-inch model Alnico for my, and that's actually what I'm going to just kind of cue that up. Get back to my camera for a second. Okay, now this amp right behind me, this sweet little sea green blue amp right there, that's a Fender Super Champ X2. For people who own Super Champs, really love them. They're very versatile and they're reliable. There is in there, even though they're tubes, it has some little electronics, and even though there's a clean channel, some people say, oh, it's still a little modulated, because besides the clean channel, there's another channel that offers modeling amps, so I can get a Vox sound and different things like that. But I basically keep it on the clean channel and use it like the wannabe Princeton that it is. But so as nice as I enjoy it, and the fact that it is a special edition in that blue green thing, to me what really makes that a special amp is that Weber decal there on the bottom. I mean, it's a little bit, it's above a regular Super Champ in the fact that it's got that nice, that seafoam green. I love it, that kind of turquoise color. But being able to put that Weber thing on there, now, that's a special amp. And it's a special amp because it has a Weber speaker in it. That's how I feel about Weber speakers. So, I do have a beautiful cabinet made by Weber. But they did not get on some of the final stock of the Surf Green. A couple of people bought it up. So, but this is a Maggie cab. And it's got a green crocodile is the name of this Tolex. And this is the checker screen. And even though it's a Weber cabinet, it has the, wrong way. It has the embarrassment of having an Eminence tag on it right now. Maybe CJ will send me something that can actually, we'll say Weber cabinet. And Maggie is an interesting cabinet because it has a 10-inch speaker and an 8-inch speaker in it. And this is actually one of the best speakers that Eminence ever made. Their 10-inch Red Fang. Their 12-inch, I guess, was supposed to be their equivalent of the Celestian Blue, and I wasn't impressed with it at all. As far as this was a pretty good. If this was a Weber and hemp cone, I'd be a lot happier. And I do on there. And Weber does make a hemp cone with this kind of voicing. And when I have the funds, I will get it. But this was a really beautiful compliment with my my Hot Rod Deluxe, because I had the Fender, the Blue Dog, the Web Cone Blue Dog, in the actual amp itself, and then I put this out. So I had an English 12 hemp cone Weber, and then I had this 10-inch English Eminence, and then I had a Web Cone 8. And it was really interesting, and the sound, the blend of the 12, the 10, and the 8, which each voice their themselves differently, really, really beautiful. So, but when I bought my amp, I didn't quite realize how much I really liked English speakers. So I bought an American one, and now, which costs the same as the English, but I hadn't quite presenced it. So for all you tone people, the tone I like is American tubes. So that's a 6L6 or a 6V6. American preamp tubes, also, obviously, because they have a warmer. Some kind of alerts coming in. They have a warmer. They don't have quite have the high mids that the English voicing does. I like the voicing of American tubes, but I like that voicing to come through English sounding speakers. I like that chiminess, but I like the chiminess of, I like the English chime with American voicing singing through it. And now we'll come to the hemp cone part. Just like the ferrous magnet takes a signal, reproduces it, and then other than with Alnico kind of sings something of its own into the note, makes it lively. To me, the ferrous gives you the note. Alnico gives you the note with a smile. Little, let me not get too crazy here. Similarly, paper reproduces very well. Hemp has a longer fiber. And when I heard my first hemp cone, what I realized was that paper reproduces, but hemp sings. At least it hums. Paper, like, will produce our musical tones, but it itself isn't as musical because they're shorter fibers. The longer fibers of hemp really allow the sound to ring within the fiber itself. And I think, and it gives it a happy tone. And I think if you want to get a little, animistic about things, hemp is kind of there to be used for its many things. Trees are there to provide oxygen and shade. And, some wood, but, wood I can understand. Turning trees into paper when we can use hemp, this seems a little earth unfriendly. But back to hemp cones. So I am really thrilled because what Weber did is they have their new releases. So let's get back to their website. There we are. All right. So new models, and here they are. They have put out a 10-inch and a 12-inch hemp. These are all of these have the hemp cone, that little H. A little thing about Weber code. So what this is telling you, the 12 tells you it's a 12-inch speaker. The A tells you it's Alnico. The 125 can be read as 1.25. That's because it's a 1 1/4 inch voice coil. And this H tells you this particular model is a hemp cone. Similarly here, you have 12F. So that's a 12-inch ferrous magnet. Same voice coil, 1.25 or 125 as they call it. And so what all of these speakers excuse me, have in common, in this case, is the they all have a 1/4 inch voice coil. And what that means, and since this is the one I'm kind of might be more interested in, I will tell you why. So, as you recall, the signature ones had 7-inch plug magnets. These have an 11, not a 7-inch, an 11-ounce plug magnet. These have an 11-ounce plug magnet. Now, magnets allow for more of the, we'll call the bass frequencies to get through. So it allows more of the bass frequencies to go through. So obviously with the signature speakers and their 7-ounce plug magnet, they tend to not have they're not a particularly fat bottom. When we get to the 11-ounce, we start getting some, in matter of fact, it even reads here. Hemp cone replaces the Chicago Jensen P12Q and other medium power Alnicos 12s where warm top end is desired. The 12-inch, 11-ounce Alnico magnet, and you can have your choice of 20 or 30 watts, 1 1/4 voice coil, hemp rib cone. This speaker has a warm tone, not too bassy, but a good balance throughout. Top end is mellow and attack is less immediate than other speakers due to the hemp cone. I have some issues with that language, CJ, but I understand why it's there. Compressed and fattened at higher volumes. This compressed and fattened at higher volumes is always part of an Alnico speaker. Alnico does that. And that might be something that people who want to just turn up and get the distortion without effects, because Alnico creates an effect when it does that compression. But, so here's one of the beautiful things about ordering your own speaker. Not only is your speaker handmade, but you can give them all kinds of things to tell them. There's dust caps. Now, this is if you're a guitar player, but some people, they actually have an H1, which is for harmonica. Gives it a different sound. It's a different size. Power, you can have a 20 watt or a 30 watt. And depending on what amp you're going into and whether or not you want to have lots of headroom with your speaker or a little less before it starts to kind of, because selecting the power wattages can, even though you are capable of it, this makes it a little more delicate to overdriving. by selecting what the wattage is. And so there's a whole strategy to what amp you might be putting it into. If you're putting it into a cabinet, that's when I like to have more headroom, because you never know what you're going to be running up against. And for impedance, they offer 3.2 ohms. That can be very useful in certain situations. 4 ohm, 8 ohm, and 16 ohm. So also you have a choice of 5 different basket colors. Like, in other words, if I were to get one of my English speakers, I would get it in blue. For my Americans, I happen to like the green. But there's even a red version, silver, and the black. Okay, so look at this. This isn't just like when you go to Eminence and you go, hey, I'll take that speaker. No, not only can you take on a speaker. I mean, this dust cap is probably for a lot of people like, well, whatever. But for those who are out there, for when you want that kind of professional attention, you can get it at Weber. Okay, so please select the impedance. I mean, it's just, and then dope. Dope has something to do, and they have none, light, moderate, heavy. And if you look it up, it has to do with sometimes certain notes. There's something called cone cry. And I guess it's when the cone is almost like feeding back at a certain level, and dope can prevent that. I personally think hemp would never need dope, but I think they offer it. I didn't get any dope with my hemp cones. So anyway, this particular speaker, I took it away. The reason why now I have my English voice, and I happen to have my in my Super Champ, I have their 10-inch hemp speaker at 40 watts. It's a big one. But the reason why this one kind of makes me interested is there's a sound that a lot of people really like, and it's called the tweed sound. And it's an amp that Fender made. It had a volume and a tone, and it had a 12-inch speaker, and it really had a spunkiness to it. And I just feel that for myself, if I ever wanted to get kind of a tweedy sound out of my speaker, I would probably, I might be able to get it out of this one. The fact that it won't be quite so bassy, and with the 12-inch because of the magnet. And it's really interesting because when I have the 8-inch with the 7-ounce plug magnet, and when I play through it, there's a richness to listening to music that doesn't have that bass there. Although, even though the Alnico, that smaller magnet, cuts it out, there's still a ghosting of it. It's really quite interesting the way this, especially to me with Alnico, how as you go down or up, how it really affects the tonal spectrum, and that's something that you can use, and it's actually a strategy. Because here it is, Fender, amp modeling, but there's a certain modeling we can do through, especially if you have a few heads. If you had an English voiced head or an American voiced head, and then you have your speakers, there's a lot of modeling you can do organically and not electronically. And Weber is the company that would allow you to get the different speakers. And now what am I going to do with just a speaker? Well, the other thing is cabinets. Weber makes cabinets, and this is one of the things I really wanted to do. Is like a lot of people just know Weber speakers. How about Weber cabinets? They're basic cabs that they have for a 10-inch speaker, 12-inch, 15, 210, and of course the one I had was the Maggie. See, the Maggie cabinet, 10-inch and an 8-inch, and then where do they have the cabinets? And then now these are the covering options. Okay, so there's tweed, H tweed, smoky tweed, black tweed. See all these different colors. Like I said, the only one they didn't have was the fact that the surf green is highly prized, and there was a limited amount of them. But look at, a lot of colors here, and then they get into some of their, the snake skin. You can imagine that for some people. Brown boot leather, black, brown cow, black cow, ostrich, and here's what I got: green croc, and they also have brown croc. And then you have your grill cloths, and you have, you know, all these different. I picked the checker. So what I'm trying to, once again, presence here is that if you're a musician and you haven't heard of the Weber Speaker Company, you should at least check them out. And okay, so what do we have? We had speakers covered. We had cabinets. They also, now the other thing is, you know, hand-wired amps are very prized. Well, if you have any kind of, if you have any ability to do, or you know, read a schematic, well, then you could build your own amp. Might be able to start your own business. View all amps. And here they offer many. Oh. Now I remember once upon a time they offered really like just about every kind of amp. I think a few of them might have gone, might have still not be there. This looked like it was a few less than I recall. But some of the classic amps are here. You know, whether it's the deluxe, and they call them by their numbers. And if you can always get those straightened out. Classic 50s, and they have, you know, 60s English amps, and then, you know, all the different parts you could buy to work with them. I'm not doing particularly good here because this takes a little bit of navigation, where the speakers are really easy to navigate. Then here's where we kind of get a whole run. But let's see. I want to check on how long I've been running here, because I don't want to. Okay, not too long. So maybe what I'll do, it's a shame that they went to bed already, because playing guitar. But anyway, a little bit. So this is a Super Champ amp, and I'm playing through it, an American Special Telecaster guitar. And I gotta now that's their. Here, let me pull up what speaker that is. So the speaker that I got, well, this is the best one, vintage series, 10-inch model, Alnico. I don't know, this is British. Now this is the one I really want to get. This is the one. This is my red coat replacement. It's an Alnico speaker. Loud British flavored Alnico driver. Bright, chimey, later, smooth breakup, aggressive, articulate. You know something? That's to me one of the key words of any Weber speaker is articulation. There is no speaker I've ever heard that allows you to really hear what you're playing. And I think that's what some people really like, and that's what some people don't like. So also available with Weber's Hemp cone, which is a smoother, darker tone with less attack, great for taming treble. So this is the speaker I want. Now if you back there's the Alnico 10V. So this is kind of I would consider it to be the Voxy sound, unless I got it backwards here. Then they also have the 10VS. See, this is slightly configured, although it's usually a different tone. But this is really kind of more for I consider like maybe of a Marshally sound, where the other one's more of a Voxy sound. So the Alnico 10V. So that's the thing. See, when you first go here, this is the speaker. But in my case, see, I'd come here and I would hit the cone style and select Hemp, because it's available in paper and hemp. And the power, they offer at 40 watts. The impedance is tricky because it's going into a 2 cabinet, and I always need to pair it with an 8-inch speaker. And whether or not Weber's going to give me an 8-inch speaker, a Hemp cone 8-inch speaker, I don't know. I understand they have to, be smart with what they do. And this is a powerful one. So this is the one I would probably should have gotten from my amp. But I quite hadn't dialed in that I really like the British voicing. Okay, I really wanted to go to just the Alnicos, but the speaker I do have in mine here is the 10A. So again, that means a 10-inch Alnico, 1.5-inch voice coil hemp speaker. This is a speaker that's in the amp. This is a speaker you're about to hear. And in this case, there was a selection of 25 or 50 watt. I took the 50 watt. I took the 8 ohm. I took took the regular thing. I chose the green color, and I didn't choose dope. Chose none. See? None. And that was my speaker. Okay. So back to me. So this is it on a very kind of gentle, and I don't have this is going through the same mic I'm speaking to, but it should, my meter is telling me it's registering. And make sure there's no other mics on. Nope. Okay. So this is like a, now this is on my treble pickup. So since this is a hemp speaker now, okay? So I'm going to put it on the combined pickups. And I have my treble on all the way up, but I have quite a bit of bass on I have 5.5 bass, and I have 7 on treble. And a little louder. I had tuned it up before, but that was an hour ago. There we go. So, anyway, my roommates have gone to bed, so I'm gonna be a little bit quiet. So that's the 10-inch speaker, okay? And that's with a hemp cone. I'm gonna plug in the 8-inch signature speaker, and that's a paper. And instead of a 40-ounce Alnico magnet, it has a 7-ounce Alnico plug. So it's the same distance away. It's that little speaker sitting on top of that amp. And the speaker that was being voiced was below it. But, okay, I hope you heard that. You remembered. I'm going to play the same thing. So I think you can hear it's not anywhere near as deep. Of course, it's speaker. It's hemp, but it's also 8-inch. And that 7-ounce plug magnet doesn't bring through all the deeper basses. But so, but the same articulation. It's such a clean. And speaker makers have been using there's a phrase with a lot of speakers that I often, at least I read on the Eminence site, abundant in harmonics. One of the things I like about Weber speakers is they aren't abundant in harmonics. They're rich in harmonics. One of the things I hear in mass-produced speakers, which is basically everything except Weber, unless there's some other handmade speaker that I don't know of, is that abundant harmonics. And to me, there are harmonics in there that are kind of just filler. And I think that one of the reasons certain people, when they hear a Weber speaker, is they feel like something's missing. And to me, what's missing is some of the noise that, the abundant harmonics. It's kind of like saying somebody who weighs a little bit too much is abundant adipose tissue. There, because there's what my ear tells me is a harmonic cleanup in the way Weber creates their speakers, is what creates this articulation where really for the first time you can hear what you're playing. And even as you layer on effects and whatever, the Weber speaker just allows me to really know what my hands are doing on a guitar. Because you have a good enough guitar, it's really letting you know what your hands are doing. And even using Weber speakers cleaned up my technique, because I could hear things that I couldn't hear with other speakers. And and it gave me more attention to detail, because in the past I couldn't hear those details. They were being, to me, I didn't know it, but they were being masked in abundant harmonics. So, last but not least, I'm going to plug in the Blue Dog. Now, in the future, because I do have a Sennheiser mic and I could do things, but this was kind of like, I'm going to just try something. So I still have the same. Now, by the way, I've used the exact same tone and volume for everything I've done. I'm on both pickups. My treble is all the way up. My tone pot is fully open. I'm not fully open on my volume because I'm here. I'm a little backed off. So, and in the future I might do comparison, because the interesting thing is, because the 10-inch, which usually 10s are a little brighter than a 12, just would be naturally occurring thing. Because it's an American voice, it doesn't have the chime. So if I were to, and I will do it back to back, that in many ways my 12-inch speaker is brighter than my 10-inch speaker, because I got an English voicing. I got a Blue Dog with a Hemp cone. Same chords. So, I mean, that's a 12-inch speaker, and I'm barely pushing it. That can handle 100 watts, and I'm pushing 15 watts through it. But do you hear that beautiful, really? Now, if I put on my treble pickup, so it really does. I would probably carry on more, but because everybody went to bed here, I'm a good roommate. Usually when I make videos, I have to worry about the sound, because they have a TV against my wall and the sound system, and half the time it bleeds into here. But it was an early night. So anyway, I'm going to conclude this Weber thing with that. I just want everybody to really, I'm putting up the Weber speakers again. Where's I want to go back to the front. There we go. Ted Weber's famous loudspeakers, not just speakers. It is to me, it's a musician. It's a place where musicians who really are looking to create tone. And like I said, with one of my ideas, and I'm hoping to experiment with it, is being able to try and get modeling, almost like modeling effects through whether or not you use an American voice or an English voice amp, and then the speakers that you use. And this way here, instead of relying on Fender or whatever company makes modeling, can kind of experiment with it. And it might not be exact modelings, but since you're seeking in that direction, and you discover that something like it, but it's original, and then there's something original. And so Weber speakers allows you to really play and you know, the fact that they offer cabinets, well-made cabinets, that you can put that in, and then, you know, because that's, play with sound, play with tone, just like an artist seeking. Oh, they have a red, but there's a certain red they're looking for, a certain blue they're looking for. Be a tone hound. It's a lot of fun, and a lot of people will. Fortunately, a lot of people will go, I don't know about the Alnico stuff. I'll just stay with the ceramic. It's better for your pocketbook. The fact that I like Alnico makes it tricky, and the fact that I will now only buy a hemp cone speaker. I have to, you know, and I will only buy a Weber. I'm kind of at their mercy. But now that they're expanding and they have a new 12-inch speaker that I think is delightful, and even the 10-inch model, because that one over there has an Eminence little buddy. It's an American Voice. It's a one of they call their Patriot lines, and it's a ferrous magnet, and it's a hemp cone, but it's not. It's abundant in harmonics. And I have to admit, after you play through Alnico and you go back to just playing through a ceramic speakers just, you know, they do the job faithfully and efficiently, but they don't contribute anything. Alnico does do a contribution. For some people, they might go, yeah, I could do without their contributions, and it costs a lot more for these contributions. So, and that's the beauty of Weber. If you're an Alnico enthusiast, every speaker they make, you can have an Alnico. If you're like, screw Alnico, everything they make is in ferrous magnets. And then, you know, again, the choice of ohmages, the choice of power handling, and it's, you know, in certain cases it's more varied than others. As a matter of fact, that's the one I'm gonna close with. Okay, the speaker that I bought. So we'll just come on, everybody. Okay, I'll do it from here. Speakers, British series. Come on, British series, 12-inch models, Alnico. All right, the Alnico Blue Dog. This is, to me, this is their flagship speaker, because the Celestian Blue is kind of like their flagship thing. But with Weber, I mean, I guess anything they make is just great. So over here, actually, you can see the two different. This is the hemp cone, that greener one, and this is the tip. This is the paper cone. But so when I came to order my Blue Dog, and believe me, that was a happy day. So I could select my hemp cone. Look at this power selection: 15 watts, 30 watts, 50 watts, 75 watts, and 100 watts. And it still has that 1.5-inch voice coil, but this gives it different sensitivity to the signals, the input signal you're giving it. Impedance, in this case, 4, 8, and 16 ohm. I got the 8 ohm. Dope. I took none. All right. So, I mean, look at here it is. This speaker that goes up to 100 watts is also available in a 15-watt version. You don't get this. Not only do you not get the handmade quality at other speaker make. Oh, something I didn't even realize. Okay, that wasn't on the screen, so I just have to quickly go through that. Sloppy on me. See the power here: 15, 30, 50, 75, 100. I mean, look, and each one of these selections will affect your ultimate tone based on the amp that you're driving it through. So there's all kinds of strategies. If it's going to live in a cabinet and see a lot of places, that's why I picked 100 watt. It'll work anywhere. If you're going into a specific amp, let's say you have a 5-watt amp, and you want to put a 12-inch speaker, you might pick the 15 watt. It's really according. I mean, I wanted something. That's the other thing. I don't really like so much dirt from my speaker. I like dirt from the tubes or from using something like an overdrive. I like the speaker. I like to kind of configure all the sound and then send it to the speaker to basically do that. So that's why I like lots of headroom on my speaker. I want my speaker to reap, and then with the hemp really holds it together. When you push hemp, it just sings along, and that's when in that one description about hemp, it doesn't have such an immediate attack. To me, the attack is right there, but its full blossom is it's almost like the production of a note. And I think putting it in, I think, and again, these are the guys who build speakers by hands, have incredible ears. And I think that what he put there is almost from his perspective, that from a typical perspective, I think there's that little bit that's I mean, nanoseconds of delay as the hemp fiber goes into full bloom with a note. But apparently it's something that CJ and the people there can hear. Anyway, so that's gonna be my conclusion of Weber speakers, new releases, their hemp cones, the company and as a whole, as a place for musicians to know, and for tone hounds to do a lot of their research for what they can do. There's the whole world of tubes, but we didn't get into that. And that might be a little more arcane than others. Speakers are one of the most immediate things you can do. And once you understand power handling, voice coil sound, magnet weight, how that affects, how bassy or whatever it is, and then of course unique things. I mean, they have ones that are more trebly. I mean, there are certain models that they have. So they have about 5 different variations. It's just amazing, and it would have taken me a long time to go through all that. And in future videos, maybe I will occasionally, because I want to do some better speaker sounds, but I also want to presence Weber as the company that it is, because when I put Weber in my YouTube, I have all these speaker comparisons. To me, the love for Weber isn't apparent, and it's almost as like it's just another speaker. Weber speakers are the handmade speaker. They are articulate and rich in harmonics rather than just abundant in them. Okay, that's it from me. And CJ, I hope you like this. I'm going to be sending it to you. Be well all, and I hope you enjoyed this little my kind of this new place I'm going into, some musical geekdom. Take care of yourselves.